I'm Steve Scott, actually the elder Scott in the Scott Hawaii right now. Well, my parents moved here in 1932 on a vacation, coming down from California, and liked it so much that they decided to stay. So they opened Scott Hawaii up down here. And actually, my father was in a footwear manufacturing family, I guess, going back to the early 1800s. And he and his father moved out to California in the 20s, started a shoe company there in Los Angeles. And fortunately, they came down to Hawaii for a vacation, which is why we're here now. When my father started Scott Hawaii back in 1932, at that time, Hawaii was really agricultural based with pineapple, sugarcane. And so one of the first things that he started making when he opened the shoe company were plantation boots for the sugar and pineapple workers. And they were really just canvas boots with tire tread soles, and it really protected the workers when they were in the fields. And then from there, we eventually got into slippers. And at that time, it was probably about the late 30s, early 40s. And then with World War II, the one thing that happened was that everything had to come down by boat. So you had to have a priority listing, and we started making slippers for the Navy Exchange to be sold out there at Pearl Harbor. And it was at that time that we really went into slippers, and we've stuck with it since then. It was interesting to notice that actually during World War II, we in the Pacific actually had a lot of the submariners wearing our slippers, because in those days the submarines were hot, humid, and that's where we got our foothold at the Navy Exchange. And up to that point, I think we were really pretty much just a local slipper, local footwear. Tourism really wasn't until probably 1958-59 when the jets started coming down here, the old Boeing 707. And that's when we really started to, two things. One, we got a lot more tourists here in Hawaii, but there were also some Hawaiian shops that started opening up on the mainland. Palm Springs in California, also in Florida. And through our styling, we really brought them something that I think epitomized Hawaii, especially for women with the flowers on the straps and the like. And it really fit in well with, was it Walter Clark's, which was at that time one of the bigger shops, Hawaiian shops on the mainland, starting off in California. My father, when started the company here, obviously coming from a footwear background, and I guess almost like the fourth generation in footwear. I think he was always looking to make better footwear, and obviously one of the problems being in the middle of the Pacific, especially back in the early 30s into the 40s and even the 50s, was the availability of materials. And so he had to improvise at that time in a lot of different ways. Early on, we were, as I said, using tire tread soles. He eventually, I remember him going back, and we took a trip to Japan in 1955, and that's actually when we started using, at that time, what was new was EVA, which is ethyl vinyl acetate. And we were probably one of the first ones really to start using that material. And this goes back to, like I said, in 1955. Ethyl vinyl acetate actually is an artificial compound which I would say most, especially running shoes, use today for their outsoles. It's a lighter weight material, but it still gives you good comfort and pretty good wear. Right now we use EVA in combination with rubber for our insoles. All of our outsoles are rubber-based, but our insoles are what we call Rubbalon, which is a combination of rubber and EVA. And that gives you good memory. EVA has a tendency to flatten out because of its a lot of air in there. But the Rubbalon allows it to bounce back. It also gives you pretty good strength.